both teams know that. No, they're going to know how each other play, how each team plays, of course, because they've seen them so many times on stage. Every player scouts all the other games that are going on.
Yep. Before the gates go up, we did it. We made it through round robin, and we're now at single elimination here at Blizzcon 2011. So let me hear a big round of applause for the teams that made it, specifically the two playing now, Skillcap from North America, Game Sense DNAW from Europe, both fighting a hard fight to get up here from their countries and then through the Blizzcon round robin.
All right, gates are about to open. We're going to watch Rodriguez yet again because he is the guy that's making the difference for the team of Game Sense. As the gates open, he's going to immediately get frozen by that water elemental.
Yep, and Pook's running out there with some spells still. Definitely going anti-mage right here.
Oh, it's really smart. We have him trying to spell steal off everything.
Yep. Got a little poly on Drudenhouse there. You know, they're just going to try to set him up, try to throw some CC out. You see him retreating back behind a small pillar.
This is interesting. Rodriguez going for the kill on the water elemental now. He's taking a lot of damage. That is incredibly smart in this. This is a great way to start.
Yeah.
Of course, Pooks is not going to have his pet out for a while, and that is a massive amount of damage that he's going to be missing because of those fingers.
Yeah,
all right, but Dakroth already taking a ton of damage with a crowd control onto Drudenhouse with that Earth Shield backup, blanket counterspell on top of it as he comes out of the poly, and immediately the dots are reapplied.
Yeah, you know, Skillcap doing a little bit of target swapping back and forth. Toes catching that UA Dispel, and that's going to put Pooks behind a little bit on health. He's picked right back up. And Skillcap just trying to fill things out right now. You saw him go on Dakroth for a second. Spell Stealing Rodriguez throwing it into a poly, gets some damage out on Drudenhouse. This MLS really filling each other out right now. But you can tell they're both just 100% committed to these fights. And Toes is actually chilling in kind of a little starting area here. He's still way, way back in the field while Pooks is pushed up. So Skillcap has an odd positioning, whereas I would say Game Sense DNAW has a little more secure, a little more traditional Wizard setup here on rank.
So Pooks blinks out of that deep freeze right there, tries to get onto his target. Deep freeze Dakroth with a sheep onto Drudenhouse, who isn't going to trinket out of it. Impact stun right after. What a great combo right there with a fear.
Wow.
Drops that trinkets out, and another poly immediately after that trinket. 20,000 hit points. If they can put anything on Dakroth, and he does get that Spirit Link totem, gets killed right away. Another fear.
The deep freeze out of Pooks. Put some damage on Drudenhouse. This is exactly what they need to do. They got Dakroth low. They're forcing Drudenhouse hand, getting him to use cooldowns to bring his Warlock back up, and now they just need to swap through targets. They need to put pressure on everybody, especially Rodriguez. They cannot stress enough how much damage that mage is doing when he's allowed to free cast. Pooks is being shut down considerably compared to Rodriguez, and that is the primary difference
look at that.
in damage between these two teams.
Pooks right there. Pooks trying to dump as much damage as he can. Another sheep onto Drudenhouse. Was quarter duration though. He's going to keep casting. Oh, there we go. Now that's a very short sheep. Of course, Toes in trouble, Pooks in trouble, having to block, getting rid of all those dots as they try to put as much crowd control as they can onto Dakroth, because he's the guy that's going to be doing all the damage. Right now, there's no unstable afflictions on the entire team of Skillcap.
Yep, and you know what? At the risk of oversimplifying things, this match really is going to come down to mage crits quite a bit. You know, who's going to be able to pump out more damage when it really counts? And you know, crit rating is going to come into that so much, especially with the fingers up. You know, you want to win the coin toss on your crits basically. As a mage, you want to keep it above 50% with procs if at all possible.
So Pooks was trying to invis right there. And now we have Snuts is going to be caught behind the pillar right there. So you see Dakroth trying to cast on any target that shows their face. And again, Drudenhouse playing so in the backfield of that, but we have Pooks pushing up a little bit, trying to do some damage.
Yep, and there's a coil used out on Snuts trying to peel him off of the fight. And, you know, he didn't really even set up any dots on him. So Dakroth just kind of peeling some damage, but not really putting out too much damage himself. He seems to be really focused on guarding Drudenhouse and Rodriguez, who are, you know, they do appear to be a focus target. Like Snuts is rolling some dots on Rodriguez when he can.
Oh,
some
Pooks
nice dispels.
All right, Pooks just got his Arcane Tree locked right there as he's going to try to get around the corner and out of line of sight, down to half-life right now. No CC onto Toes, but Toes' trinket is currently down.
Yep, it's not taking a lot of damage from those dots. He's catching a few shatters there from Rodriguez, but Rodriguez throwing into a poly.
Pooks having an answer to his pet being killed. Of course, he is going after the pet of Rodriguez right now, which 8,000 hit points right now. We have a stun, impact stun onto Pooks, followed by a fear.
It's kind of silly that they didn't go for that pet earlier on. You know, Snuts could have just dotted it up and thrown a little burst his way, and that would have split up Drudenhouse's ceiling even more, and maybe would have allowed them a better position here in this Ring of Valor, because so far, Game Sense DNAW looking a little bit more comfortable.
And look at the dynamic change when you don't have a pet as a Frost Mage. This is huge. That was an excellent play by GameSense right at the start.
You know, not only is that a Pet Nova, but when you throw down that Pet Nova, you get 2 charges of Fingers of Frost, and that is your damage, basically. I mean, that's his
so that was
demand.
a good, his Frost Tree just got locked, Poops of course, and was able to cast a Poly right afterwards to try to set up some damage, followed by a Fear onto Dakroth, because Rodriguez is taking some damage. Full sheep onto Drudenhouse right now. Pook's trying to get over to the mage, but knows that he's not going to be countered, so he is going to use the time to evocate.
Yep, and he just gets a few ticks off. It tops him off, and his mana is definitely fine. But mana hasn't really been an issue here for the mages. Mainly, they just need to keep pressuring Rodriguez and Dakroth, and they need to put some burst onto Drudenhouse coming out of that CC. You know, once he doesn't have anything on himself, such as Riptide or anything at all that can help him.
Pook's been having a tough time with all the spell pushback on his Frostbolts, not able to do too much damage at this moment. Tossing out another poly, that looks like another full poly onto Drudenhouse at this point. Frostfire Bolt as the Warlock tries to get out of there.
Yep, and look at this, you know, GameSense was putting so much pressure on the skill cap. Now skill cap seems to have gotten their momentum back in this match. All topped off, you see Drudenhouse pressured real hard, trying to escape to his starting area. There's no line of sight there. I'm not entirely sure where he's going.
Of course, Pook's getting caught in that second one. Now another impact stun. This is a great play by Rodriguez to help his Shaman live. We have a poly out of Rodriguez that's going to hit Snuts, although we have a dot right after, so that is going to immediately break. But look at the life bars of GameSense. Drudenhouse not able to make it quite up to full life, as you see a counter and a deep freeze happening right now. He's in the starting area.
Kind of a bad overlap.
He barely gets out of it. Wow, that crowd control out of the Mage Lock Shaman as a Hex goes down. Spirit Totem is finished at that point.
Yeah, that was definitely a pretty difficult overlap to land on Drudenhouse. You know, they got the deep freeze, but they didn't quite land that CS perfectly. They could have gotten him a little lower there, maybe 20,000, but he was able to get away pretty comfortably. And now GameSense is going to have an opportunity here to just sort of bring themselves back up. Drudenhouse hurting on mana compared to Toads. They have about 10k differential there, but Drudenhouse, the problem here is that he is under more pressure than Toads. Toads is just hanging out in the backfield, basically running around with the Pooks. I mean, he can do anything.
The big thing is, there we go, that's another pet kill onto Pooks' pet. I mean, this is the kind of thing we used to see in WLD mirrors, where pets constantly getting killed, but it is an incredibly smart play.
Yeah, for sure, because like I said, the Fingers of Frost procs, that is the mage's on-demand damage, and Rodriguez, we've been watching him play a little while now. He knows how to do damage, and he definitely knows how to counter mage damage. So he is in a unique position.
Taking a lot of damage right here, down to 70,000 hit points, 50,000, gets coiled away currently, and a Fear on to Dakroth right there with Snuts. Wow, taking a lot of damage. If Rodriguez can connect right now, they just need a little bit of crowd control onto Toes, under the effective curse of that Curse of Tongues.
And there's a poly. And he trinkets out of that poly. Toad's using his trinket to get out of polymorph. Going to have to play pretty defensive around this line of sight pillar while it's up. And Snuts is still in a little bit of danger, but he's just standing out front there, pumping damage himself. And that's the thing about MLS. It looks like they might be down and out, but all it takes is a poly or a good Fear that lands onto Drudenhouse, and they can take Rodriguez out in a second.
Toes is getting completely controlled right now. We saw that poly into Fear back-to-back. Great job right there. Now Snuts, 60,000 hit points, but he's sitting back a bit, and they're going to go on to Pooks right now, who is needing to block. Wow. And he's already, he's cold snapped, so that means that this is it for all of his blocks.
Yeah, he won't have another block up for quite a while.
All right. So we have a Hex followed by a Deep Freeze for Toes. No Trinket up. He's going to have to sit through this. Swaps the Earth Shield to himself because he knows that incoming damage. Yeah. And there we go, an Impact Stun, and that Spirit Link Totem is dropped. But everyone was at the same hit points anyway, so it wasn't very effective. Pook's trying to do everything he can to put out that crowd control, but look at all the life bars. Snuts taking so much damage right now.
Yeah, but that was an excellent ring. I believe that was Rodriguez's ring right there.
That was Rodriguez's second block, too. As Snuts get caught in the ring. Oh, no, he's got 3,000 hit points with a Deep Freeze on his Toes. Wow. Yeah. GameSense playing absolutely perfect in that round.
Yeah, they put so much pressure on. You know, it looked like Skill Cap was going to come back there for a second, maybe reset the match. GameSense just backed off, maybe gave him some false confidence, and got right back in there with the damage.
All right. And those are the matches we like to see. It was a constant back and forth. Oh, yeah. Ring of Valor means everyone's in casting range nonstop.
Yeah, there's really no hiding. We've seen some cool tricks, but there's no priest to grip you up on top of pillars this time around. So those MLS mirrors, they're tough, and it does come down to
second map for this matchup, the European MLS versus the American MLS.
An MLS mirror, and you know, it looks like right now EU just has the more aggressive, cleaner play style.
It's true. Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier, is you can sit way back as an MLS and just kind of wait until, you know, everything lines up. You get that nice fear, you know, you can get people to blow their trinkets a little bit, and then you know exactly when you need to burst, but it seems the game sense is just bursting the entire time.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, Rodriguez has been set up on people so many times. He's got good peels. Drudenhouse must have a crystal ball over here or something, because I'm seeing him put Earth Shield onto Rodriguez and Dakroth and back on himself before they even take damage. So he's predicting swaps out of skill cap extremely well, and that's one of the big reasons that they managed to stay alive on that Ring of Valor match.
All right, guys, if you're here for skill cap, let's make some noise. They need to get pumped up for this next match. All right, right from the start, we got a UA Dispel by Drudenhouse. Great idea, because you don't want to fall behind on all those dots. Immediately a counter spell onto Snuts.
Yeah, but look at this, they're hiding back now. Rodriguez pushing up with that ring, forcing them out from behind their pillar. Skill cap playing defensively, and Rodriguez saying, no, we're not going to have any of that.
Yeah, I was just talking to a player off stage. I said that every time that Rodriguez drops a ring, it's always a trap. It's great.
Oh, yeah. It's a huge tool to use. You know, even if you don't get anybody to walk into it, at least you get them to walk the other way directly into tons of damage. But now Skill Cap just falling back behind that pillar again. You know, Snuts has his portal back there with Toes, and Pooks is guarding Toes right now. So
that was a great fear right there. That's going to put a little offensive pressure out, because Dakroth is now deep frozen. Rodriguez sitting at half-life. Drudenhouse pretty much in the center of the arena, so susceptible to any CC at this point. We have a counterspell on to Dakroth right now with a poly onto Rodriguez. Very short one though. With a coil, looks like they're going to be going onto Dakroth really hard right now.
Yeah, but Drudenhouse caught a UA silence. Wow, they'd gotten some damage on Dakroth. That could have been very, very poor timing for game sense, but they managed to keep him up. And I like that. You know, there was a good little combo coming out of Skill Cap. MLS is capable of this tricks very, very consistently.
Oh, here we go.
That's why they're playing so defensively.
Going to have it deep onto Drudenhouse right now. That was a very short duration. Followed by a counterspell, and he's stuck right here. There's not much he can do. He can't LOS or he's going to get frozen. As he goes through, he knows he's dotted up, so that was a safe move right there. However, feared immediately after it in Ghost Wolf. He does have his trinket up right now, plus Spirit Link Totem. Haven't seen him use NS at all, so he's sitting pretty good in terms of what he has for his arsenal.
And this is a good split. Okay, it's basically Pooks facing off against Rodriguez here in the midfield, while Snuts has been putting out that pressure on Drudenhouse. Skill Cap definitely wising up and seeing that if they go 1v1, if they split their damage and just try to solo and basically duel here on the Grand, they actually stand a better chance as a team.
Oh, but look at the damage.
Good individual players. Dakroth taking a lot of damage. The split strategy working very well. Rodriguez is not able to get those peels like he has been in earlier matches.
Definitely not, but Dakroth really low on life right now. Drudenhouse sitting good on mana, choosing to drink right now. Dakroth trying to get away. Of course, Pooks casting on it. He just got his Arcane Tree lock yet again. An impact stun onto Dakroth. Plus a Hex onto Drudenhouse is a great amount of CC coming out right now. They can go on any target at this point. Rodriguez is a good target. Dakroth is a good target. Another deep freeze that is trinketed. He is blanket silence right now. No way of getting out of this because his trinket is down. And now they know they can go on Drudenhouse, and that is exactly what they're trying to do. Coil onto Drudenhouse. Damage everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he passed real close to that pillar. You know, he's very fortunate he didn't get out into the middle at all with that, because he probably would have been feared further out. Snuts hitting a Hex. I'm seeing some more peels coming out of the team, but like I said, Rodriguez has just been under so much pressure. He's been unable to pump out that damage like we have seen. Blanket silence right now. Skill Cap pushing in real hard on Rodriguez. He's got to dot it up. He's got Earth Shield on himself, but there's the block. Draws out the block, maybe a little prematurely.
Oh, but Snuts, that was a great portal by Snuts. He knew that he was going to get flipped back on. Dakroth doing a lot of damage exactly when the team of GameSense needed it. But so much crowd control going out from both teams. These healers are having a rough time keeping everyone top.
Yeah, I mean, Drudenhouse just playing like a boss, sitting in all that CC, really looking quite confident. Looking very confident, in fact. You know, these guys, they've been playing extremely well all day, almost a different team from yesterday. They're really in the zone.
Both mages are taking a lot of damage. You see all the wards coming up. They're trying to mitigate as much as they can. Pook's getting a bunch of fingers. Looks like this is, not sure whose ring that is actually. We'll find out in a second, as we have a Hex onto Snuts with a poly onto Toes, followed by a line of dots immediately through that soul swap.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Rodriguez's ring, which I wouldn't be surprised of. It's pretty much thrown them down on cooldown and to great effect. Gets locked out there. That was an Arcane School lockout. Fortunately for Rodriguez, he would have not liked to have Frost locked out, because that would have put him way behind. Drudenhouse not in a good position to heal him, but in a great position to sit down and have a drink.
Look at that. Yeah, and Drudenhouse constantly drinking throughout this entire tournament. Definitely the Shaman who has drank the most so far. So Snuts taking a ton of damage right now. Spirit Link Totem coming down. even though it helped a little bit on Snuts, but dropped the life bars of both Pooks and Toes.
You know, just a few seconds of drinking really turned the tide of this match for GameSense because Drudenhouse was behind on mana, and now he's ahead on mana for Toes.
Oh, but look, Snuts taking damage, Pooks taking damage. Pooks has basically everything up at this point, but a counter spell onto Toes right now. Snuts is in trouble, 30,000 hit points, barely gets a heal
full
off.
poly on Toes as well. That looks real bad for Snuts. He's kiting around this corner.
Oh, and look at that. He is going to get locked out as he's trying to stay alive. Howl of Terror hits everyone. That Tremor comes down and a spell off on top of it.
Yep, Rodriguez throwing out those instants, Ice Lancing with Fingers up, and there comes the poly peel from Pooks. Pooks with IV up and Fingers. He can put out a lot of damage here on Dakroth right now. Drudenhouse caught into a poly. His skill cap stabilizes here on the Grand. You see Dakroth just trying to peel more and more onto Pooks, trying to control that mage damage and you know, just basically stop him from deep freezing and blanket silencing his entire team, which has been a big deal. Look at that mirror rings around that big pillar, man. Both mages just on a different level right now, trying to push positioning for their team.
So it looks like the closest ring, of course, was GameSense as Dakroth pushes up a bit, but gets deep frozen in a pretty bad position at that point, but is able to use his Howl of Terror to push Pooks way behind the pillar. Wow, what a fear on Pooks. He went so far away.
Yep, fear to Frog, and he does manage to get out of that Hex. Toes is under a little bit of pressure, but I'm not really sure if that's GameSense's strategy. I'm watching for that swap. GameSense is so sneaky.
It's all these little tiny stuns that are making Toes fall behind right now. As he gets down solo, has no Spirit Link Totem for another minute, which means, oh, and he gets Death Coiled away. Trinkets going to, wow.
But it wasn't enough. The damage is finally catching up with Toes. And that's just such a difficult match to catch up with. Like I said, GameSense just playing on a different level, man. Impressive.
And they are getting into
I told you he was confident.
Oh, yes. You can tell this team is confident. Of Lordaeron, they need to win this to survive.
Yep, if you're fans of Skill Cap, let's hear it one more time for Skill Cap.
So right away, Pooks looking to get onto his target with a counter spell onto Dakroth. Fast damage onto Dakroth already. You see that Earth Shield swapped right away. Drudenhouse is volley. He's going to sit through this because it's so early into the round.
Yep, Toes, beautiful Tremor, getting him out of that fear right quick. Like I said, his positioning is going to be key in this game. And Pooks,
this might be it. This might be the strat that they're changing up. They're going to go on the Shaman pretty hard right from the start. That ring is not going to let him move too much, but there were dots on him, so it's going to break right away. However, that counter ring right on top.
That's a big blanket silence into a shatter combo.
Oh, but he swaps over and moves the correct amount of distance to not be hit by the other ring. With a freeze onto Pooks, who's in the center right now. All of his mirrors were completely shut down by that ring. That was a great job. Impact stun onto Drudenhouse, but he is completely fine. And look at how GameSense is starting to turn it right back on, throwing out all that crowd control to completely stop that push.
A Hex on Pooks forces a Trinket, and then you saw Fear on Toes into a deep freeze. Wow, look at the damage coming out of Rodriguez, hitting Toes
another
hard.
impact stun on Toes. He's taking a lot of damage. A coil right after. He is frozen in the middle. That was a Nature's Swiftness and Trinket. Toes is almost out of everything at this point.
Yeah, he needs to get back behind Tomb very, very quickly. He's making his way over to the corner there, but he's probably going to be chased. Rodriguez is polyed, and is going to become a big target here for Pooks, no doubt. Pooks looking to line up actually on Dakroth. I'm not really entirely sure they should go on the lock here. Mage versus Mage would be a better choice.
We saw this before from these MLS teams that can use the starting area line of sight to their advantage, because Fears can play such a big deal of pushing people in and out of line of sight. So we see Toes, he really needs to play the line of sight game right now. Already tided, you know, because he knows this game might go for a very long time, but Snuts up in the center of the tomb, taking a bunch of damage.
Yeah, the problem, unfortunately, for Toes right now is that any CC is full CC for him. He does not have any outs except for that Tremor. And it's going to be rough if he catches another full poly into a deep freeze into a blanket silence.
Definitely, this isn't good for the team of Skill Cap. There's a very early Tremor totem, Spirit Link totem, which capped everyone's life back to about half, but Pooks having to block right there. Toes feared away. It's not looking good as we have a poly also onto Toes, full poly. Pooks is now out of the block right now, already snapping. He knows that he needs to survive long enough for hypothermia to fall off, but they are going to turn it back onto Dakroth. Huge heal the second before that counterspell happened, but Pooks taking a lot of damage, 50,000 hit points. No CC onto Toes quite yet.
Yep, the Icy Veins Evocate gave him 1 or 2 ticks of health gain, kind of helping Toast out there a little bit, and there's a big triple fear. Trimmer takes him right out of it, and a ring, kind of late off Rodriguez. Drudenhouse caught into a coil, spiked down around the pillar there, but it looks like he's going to be able to line of sight a lot of this damage. His team giving him some decent peels. You see Dackroth there actually eating a blanket silence, and Rodriguez just putting damage on the back of Pooks right now, trying to shut down the opposing team's mage, which, you know, like I've said several times, really is where their control and damage sort of, starts. It's where it lives. Is his procs, his ability to position the team and set things up with his Warlock right now. So Pooks out of this match would be a devastating thing for them, and that's why he's playing so well around this crypt, dodging a lot more of that line of sight. Rodriguez getting feared out in the open. This would be a good job to line up on him. Rodriguez out in the middle of nowhere.
Pooks and his pet got caught in that ring right there. Counterspell onto Pooks' sheep, right as he was trying to set up some crowd control because their shaman is so far away. He is running out to drink right now, but realizing he's having to come back, that might have been a mistake right there because they're going to try to get some crowd control out so they can score a kill onto Pooks.
Yep, and here's the thing, like, Skill Cap can play it a little closer now. Toes has a string.
Immediately when Deep Freeze was off of cooldown, he uses it right into Drudenhouse, and now they're going to be going on to Rodriguez. Yep. They're probably going to line up some DR, and once the diminishing returns wears off on the crowd control, looks like they're probably going to be going on to Rodriguez with crowd control completely onto Drudenhouse.
On the Skill Cap side of the stage, they've got to be thinking to themselves, we need to swap targets more. We need to be more dynamic in this gameplay because it's pretty apparent that we're ahead on health, but we're not that force that is to be feared right now. They're fighting back, they're kiting us, they're able to get out of so many of these
Rodriguez
traps.
Low. And there we go, Deep Freeze onto Drudenhouse as he's going to sit through the entire thing, but unfortunately Pooks has the block right there, not going to be able to help out with the damage, followed by a fear that he's going to will out of. And Toes just had to use another trinket right there. Rodriguez not being picked up because he's not the target whatsoever. Howl of Terror onto Dackroth. Full duration, going to be sheeped right after too, so he's not going to be able to use will to his advantage whatsoever because his trinket is down.
Yep. And that'll be a good opportunity for Skill Cap to get some damage in, but just the tomb, the line of sight ability on the tombs is very important for game sense right now. Oh, look at those
Frostbolt damage coming out as he knows he has to get away, and a great job with that blink and evocate.
Ooh, I like the Curse of Exhaustion on Rodriguez. Just trying to slow him down, I guess, keep him from kiting out. Drudenhouse drinking in his starting area, and he's been pretty sneaky about that. Toes is way ahead on mana, but Drudenhouse able to get in and out of these fights. Like I said, they're just playing a different level of MLS. It's so much more dynamic than I'm seeing out of Skill Cap right now.
They definitely are. And I really like that Drudenhouse has confidence in his team, that they know that they can fall back to him if needed, if they're doing damage. That's why he's able to drink so much. But a Death Coil onto Drudenhouse with an impact stun on top of it. A great counterspell to stop the fears out of Dackroth, but Drudenhouse taking a lot of damage. I love the crowd control coming on the players that they're not targeting, because you can do so much as an MLS team if you have any time.
Wow, getting all up in Drudenhouse as he's in that starting area. So much damage coming into him.
Any blanket silence, he can't leave.
Anything would be good right now as Drudenhouse spikes down to 20k. 50 the Deep Freeze barely gets out of it, and there he goes down. Skill Cap answering back.
Wow.
Snuts falling out of his chair. Fortunately, that wasn't a important 2v3.
Yet again, facing elimination if they lose on this round. Let's hear for Skill Cap. If you want him to win, they really need to be fired up. I mean, Toes just threw a chair. He's so fired up.
Exactly, that's all you need to say.
All right, so the gates are about to open. As the team of Skill Cap knows they have to be aggressive very early. That worked for them the last round.
Yep, and same setup. Snuts going to portal right there by Toes, and Toes is just going to hang back by their starting. Trading some spell steals on Rodriguez. Looks like he's just trying to get some of those buffs off. He's got fingers up in IV. I don't know, Ivy might have dropped off now. Could have gotten Persia, wasn't paying too terribly much attention. But Pook's under a lot of pressure. He's already dotted up, already taking some damage from Rodriguez as Dackroth is thrown into a
Deep Freeze, which he immediately trinkets. A banish on to the pet, followed by dropping his portal. Great job moving his portal a little bit closer to where he needs to be. Rodriguez taking a lot of damage, and this is a big difference in tactics. Like I said, Skill Cap playing much more aggressive in the early rounds.
Yeah, they're also playing a lot smarter too, because you see them peeking to throw out ice lances against Rodriguez. It's not this peeking out behind this pillar to throw up dots. They're not standing toe-to-toe anymore. They're just trying to bait Game Sense into them, and it seems like they're just using their own strategies against them. So far, Game Sense is identifying that.
He's going to bait him again. He tossed the ring around the corner. He thought that they were going to go that way. It means that Toes cannot use that corner of the pillar to line of sight. He's going to be stuck with that limited line of sight potential right there. But Rodriguez knows which ways he's going.
Okay, no trinkets left on the Game Sense DNAW side of the stage. 3 trinkets up for skill cap. So the hide and seek, you know, like the peek out, do damage, throw some control, really, really working out for skill cap. They're taking full advantage of GameSense's aggression because Rodriguez keeps pushing up on them, trying to throw down those big rings, pushing him out, and they're just not having any of it. They're just going to keep throwing damage in his face and punishing him for pushing up like that.
Both pets are dead for the mages right now. But Pook's looking to try to find his target. Hasn't been too successful in casting much right now. Not much damage coming out. Counterspell onto Rodriguez, it looks like, as he's going to try to get a poly off, but he's unsuccessful. A deep freeze hits his target, but Toes is death coiled away, and now he's in the middle of the arena. Not very good positioning at this point. That death coil really sent him in the wrong direction. Back up to half, but Pooks is polyed right now.
Oh
Toes
my
takes
God.
so much damage.
What happened?
Spirit Link down with only one person nearby. Wow, that last stick of Spirit Link barely brought Pooks in range.
I swear, I just saw an NS spell interrupted, which I don't think is even possible. But this is by far the best MLS mirror I've ever seen. Snut's taking a lot of damage, and now you see skill captains getting behind like they have in some of their earlier matches. You know, this is where the aggression pays off for GameSense. They just need to stabilize
again.
on the
Who
skill
doesn't have
cap
a trinket?
side.
Doesn't have Nature Swiftness. He has nothing up right now. He needs to get out of there as soon as possible. But of course, you do see Rodriguez chasing. Great job, death coiling him away. He's going to have to block out of it. Great job with that offensive block at that point.
Yep, he's just pushing up, damage in his face, like I was saying. They're going to punish Rodriguez time and time again. Rodriguez doing some work on Manatide, actually. Takes it down after.
Yeah, great job. Look at that fake right there. Oh, actually, he may have hit him.
Yeah, but no, here he is. He can't blink. He's got his arcane locked out. Can't get out of the deep freeze or shatter.
Right now.
Hypothermia is still up on him, actually. No, if they can convert this into a kill, it'll be huge.
He immediately snapped right there. Dakaroth in that ring on half right now. The ward was immediately eaten by all that damage. Oh, that was a big fear, which they dropped the Tremor Totem to get them all out, but it was a counter power right there.
Yeah, Pooks and Rodriguez playing against each other so very well. They've been counterspelling each other quite a bit, trying to lock out important schools. You know, Arcane to stop polys at the right time, and you can lock out that Frost when he's low and just go for a quick kill while block is not down. And now just really impressive the way Rodriguez has adapted. He's pushing up, doing damage, but he's not overextending anymore. You can see that they've stabilized on the GameSense side of the stage, and that skill cap has been about it at this level, you know, health and mana-wise for a while now.
Look at that shatter damage coming onto Rodriguez as a great silence right there. An excellent move by Pooks. Didn't pay off, but he's still really low. That howl goes out.
Off of that block. Oh,
and he locks it off, Dakaroth, in a poly right now, and that's going to be the excellent play that Skill Cap has chosen to use at this point because they're not going to be able to crowd control when they're going for people.
Yep, Snut's caught into a deep freeze for a little bit of peels, but Rodriguez really is in trouble. You know, he's the big target right now, but it's important for Skill Cap to realize you cannot train that mage. You can't just tunnel vision him because you will get kited around, and Pooks is forced to block himself. Saving Toes some time. Toes sitting in a full poly.
Oh, an impact right out of that block with Toes in a full poly. Pooks trying to invis.
No
Will he get it off?
Yep.
No, immediately starts the cast on Rodriguez, who is in a coil. 30,000 hit points left. Big fear on a Druidenhouse, who drops his tremor and gets out of it. Rodriguez still in trouble. He trinkets. Wow, Spirit Link toting, saving the day yet again.
Yep, Pooks getting brought back up
Not able to score a kill, but look at the dots immediately back up onto Pooks and Toes.
Yep, Pooks does have Snap left, I believe, so he's got a second block in this game. He'll be able to dump all those dots if he needs to. But Toes is looking good.
Lots of damage onto Toes, again, with a deep freeze onto Druidenhouse.
Yep, well, here's a blanket silence on his Druidenhouse. They're going to get on him right now. He was impacted into silence. They've got him at sub 50% into a shatter. Pooks lining up on him, standing right next to him.
Trying
that silence. Good peel by Rodriguez. Druidenhouse getting so low, but he's going to manage to get away here, I believe.
Oh, he definitely was. Wow, that was so close. Taking that greater healing wave and then dropping the grounding to stop the damage. Probably the reason why he survived. All right, so we do have a ring out right now. Pooks, of course, I don't believe that's his ring. No, it definitely was. All right, so Pooks is going to be casting onto Rodriguez. Both mages getting kind of low. Rodriguez down to 40,000 hit points, but I believe he already snapped a little while ago. We'll have to see. Pooks at half also. Oh, back and forth onto the mages. So much damage coming out from both the water elemental pets are back up at this point.
Yep.
Full poly onto Toes though, with Pooks having no heals whatsoever. He gets snared and stuck, blinks away, trying to get a poly off, but gets countered immediately.
This is a tough position for Pooks too, because he has to realize, like, I need to block here at some point. maybe. But, you know, I like that he saved it there. We're 6 minutes and 10 into this in the grand match. This is map 4. And, you know, this could be big for GameSense. If they can take this map, they will knock SkillCap out of the tournament. SkillCap needs this to tie the series up 2-2. Fighting for dear life here as Pooks and Snuts' health dips below 50%. Toes,
look at that damage on Snuts. Damage on Pooks. Snuts has his soul fire up.
On Rodriguez,
Soul burn,
caught
and then,
in the open.
All right, so that Spirit Link Totem is dropped. Killed instantly, though. That ring drops down. Rodriguez at half. Drudenhouse in a deep freeze yet again. They are going so hard at Drudenhouse this time, turning it back around on him. So much damage coming out onto him with no mana. He's completely dry. Nothing's up for Drudenhouse.
Oh, look at Rodriguez
they can make it behind it, but Toes also taking damage. Oh, as he's barely going to get away. However, both portals are right there.
Rodriguez
there's
spam control.
Drudenhouse.
Fear out into nowhere. That's a big line of sight issue for him.
This might be it for Drudenhouse, taking a lot of damage. Counterspell on
what? Who is this person? He's just walking through all this damage back to his pillar. Like, don't worry, guys.
Look at that, getting away. Spirit Walker's Grace are there, but he gets deep frozen. Oh, and here comes Pooks' damage as he gets deep frozen. Look at every single time that a burst is lined up. Rodriguez has an answer for it. However, look at the life bars on the GameSense. Rodriguez so low on hit points, using everything he can, both mana shield and...
Rodriguez has double blocked this match, but he might have his next block up, actually. I doubt it. It's close.
Oh, that's a big fear right there as Rodriguez isn't able to get out of it. Wow, they're... Oh, looks like so much damage. Rodriguez, 16,000 hit points. Not sure if he has a block. He blinks away.
Mana shield.
Mana shield back up. Coiled. This could be it for Rodriguez.
Oh, he gets barrier up, and it goes down to Shatter. They tie it up. Drudenhouse caught into it deep, and that should be the match for them. Wow. Like I said, they got
the second arena map, if that was added to the game.
Definitely a fine
early
addition.
TBC beta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's very nice.
It was a great map. I remember playing it back in its very first renditions, you know, when you could just like fly into it and duel for a little bit. Always had a good time poking around. Now it's one of the best arenas for MLS to play on because if they control that top bridge, it's nearly impossible to assault that team without taking a ton of damage yourself. And in the mirror, it just gets ridiculous.
All right, gates are about to open. This is it, 2-2. One team is not going to have a shot at the money.
Match
and
point.
you know Snuts wants it. He's been there. He wants to go back. On the other hand, GameSense. GameSense playing absolutely amazing, and all SkillCap has to do is just play how they have been in the last 2 rounds, and they can pull it off. However, GameSense needs to jump back to what they did those first rounds and play extremely aggressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe not too aggressive, but
let's hear for both teams. Come on, this is a huge match. All right, so immediately, Pooks tossing out that counterspell onto Rodriguez, and it seems like the strategy that they're comfortable with now is trying to shut down Rodriguez as much as they can.
Yeah, well, like I said, Mage is the cornerstone of this team for the most part when it comes to damage and control. Wow, it's kind of an odd terrain to put on Rodriguez in the very beginning there. But see, SkillCap is just going to sit back, wait, and bait them into this. You know, this is how MLS is played. Control top bridge, put out the pressure. Just look at the damage they can throw at range without really even committing to the fight on the SkillCap side.
Oh, look at the Dakroth spiking yet again. Drudenhouse sitting back, but look at the damage onto Pooks out of nowhere as he's blinking away. Mana shielding and the Evocate right there.
Yep. Toes calling the CC in, coming on himself. Pooks split the Evocate himself back up. Rodriguez pushing in real hard through his own ring. So aggressive.
An early block with that Howl of Terror. Pooks is going to sit through the entire duration since Toes was in a fear. Great job of being calm enough to not use a trinket. However, a death coil onto Toes. Toes down to half right now. So much damage coming out from the team of GameSense. It seems like they're playing like they did in the first 2 rounds.
Yep, this match could absolutely go either way. Better procs on Rodriguez, though. He's getting more fingers across, more brain freezes, it looks like, than Pooks. He's doing a lot more damage than he was in the last match. And now they kind of have control of that top as SkillCap just dropped down a little bit. Looks like Dakroth actually, no, he's still back up top. It's Rodriguez chasing down bottom, just trying to throw out snares. You know, COC, get that talented root in there so Rodriguez line up on him.
Rodriguez playing absolutely perfect in every manner. LOS, that Hex right back there as Toes tried to stop a bunch of damage from him. But Rodriguez in the middle of the bridge, trinketing that right now, jumping down with a deep freeze onto Toes as he runs away. But look at that, so lucky that his target was in line of sight still. That was an excellent jump.
Impact
All right, so that impact stun, Toes using NS right there, which means he's down to only Spirit Link Totem to save him at this point.
This match can still go either way. MLS versus MLS on Blade's Edge. I mean, anyone can fall over and just 2 globals essentially. So the health bar is not necessarily indicative of how this match is actually going. Now looking at healer mana, Toes and Drudenhouse pretty evenly matched.
So Pook's Water Elemental just died there. Let's see if Rodriguez still has his, which he does, 100% life, of course. That is a full poly onto Drudenhouse. Followed by Hex onto Rodriguez, who has his trinket down. No way of getting out of this. Of course, Dakroth is going to be deep frozen and skill capped. Bouncing back, both teams are playing at their best right now.
Yep, and Pook's throwing down that's his ring, I'm pretty sure, to trap Drudenhouse in there. And
Oh,
he does
that's
manage to
a
trap
lot of
that
damage. All right, now Pooks is in trouble right now. There we go. Now we're going to see him try to get away as he puts those barriers back up down to half because Toes was counterspelled. No heals coming out yet as you see Pooks trying to put the damage out. Rodriguez sneaking behind, coming up behind Toes. And look at that, trapping Toes yet again with a ring. However, Toes still able to use the pillar to his advantage. Rodriguez by himself. Very risky move. It almost paid off.
Yep, but they're all over the place on the game's side of the board. Drudenhouse able to sit down and get a drink, though, which is extremely important, going into the late game of this. Toes has plenty of mana, and without any sort of mana advantage, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Skill Cap to just roll through this comp because GameSense is still playing very, very well. Even though Rodriguez is taking a lot more damage than he would want to, he's playing aggressive and he's baiting a lot of
Great job by Rodriguez again. Timely spell steals. Soul Snuts' Demon Soul, which is a gigantic amount of mana, or damage coming out on those later dots. But look at this again. He is targeting the Water Elemental again. Oh, and we hear the call for the kill as Dakroth is taking a lot of damage. He was in that deep freeze. He trinketed out of it. Dakroth might be in trouble right here. Fear onto Drudenhouse. Oh, that counterspell just ended. Full poly right there as he gets out of it with the trick.
Yep, he does get the Spirit Link, but it's not really maximum effectiveness yet. No control. Drudenhouse coiled off. He's got dots rolling on. This could be a pretty big shatter.
Switch on to Drudenhouse right now, who doesn't have his trinket up. Already used Spirit Link. He's going to get some huge heals while he's behind LOS.
Nice fake by Pooks. Not getting locked out on his Frost.
All right. So the Shamans are being very mana conservative when they can because Drudenhouse down to 30,000 mana and Toes down to 40,000. Little bit ahead for the team of Skill Cap. But there we go. Now the second pet dies from Pooks.
Yeah, Pooks just trying to get in there, shatter somebody. He switches over to Poly immediately. He's just being shut down completely. GameSense is obviously well aware that without Pooks, that team is not going to be able to convert any of that dot damage into a kill. So, going on the mage is pretty much the obvious choice here. They're slippery opponents, but they're both fighting down bottom face to face. GameSense could just get a little bit more aggressive with this. Maybe try to catch him counterspell in a Frost School would be big.
You can hear the frustration by both teams as every time they try to push in for a kill, there is a crowd control answer. As we see a poly onto Snuts right there, that is going to fade. Rodriguez, again, another spell stolen Demon Soul. Perfect. Every single time it gets up, he removes it. All right. Dakroth taking a bunch of damage, though, as Pooks is looking to try to cast on him, but he's stuck in a deep freeze. Rodriguez stopping all the offensive pressure yet again. Snuts taking yet another onslaught of damage there. He doesn't have his coil up right now, so it's going to be about 30 seconds before they can line up for another kill. Of course, he's got a minute on that Demon Soul. With a counterspell onto Drudenhouse and a Hex onto Rodriguez. Snuts drops down because he is dotted, so he knows that ring isn't going to hurt him. However, the ring hitting Drudenhouse, who's really low, 25,000 hit points. Nature Swiftness stuck in the ring. Oh, but barely gets out because of the dots. That could have ended it right there with Nature Swiftness up.
Pooks is peeled, but this could still end it. If Pooks gets out of this, he's going to throw a poly out probably onto, Rodriguez peels him off. If he could just get into position on Drudenhouse, if anybody can get him into position.
All right, Skill Cap, no, they can't overcommit right there as he drops Tide and heals himself. Take a look at Pooks, who is going to be trying to cast as many polys as he can onto Rodriguez, and he was shutting the damage down last game. He needs to do that again.
Yep, and Pooks is just going to line up on him now. I mean, Mage is sitting right next to him. May as well just blanket silence him. That's how a lot of Mage duels used to start, actually. Just put out damage, and that's a good way to get ahead in a Mage versus Mage fight. It's going to come down to a little bit of the numbers game. Who's going to land big crits when it comes down to having Fingers of Frost on Snuts. Looking low, Rodriguez also looking low, pops his Evocate, and gets a good bit of it off before he gets impacted. Snuts, though, not looking too hot here. Gets that Banish off, but he's sitting on a lot of damage.
Full poly onto Drudenhouse right now as he sits through it. Dakroth, though, in a deep freeze down to 20,000 hit points, getting quite low as we see a Hex onto Rodriguez, also able to get healed back up to 50% life at this point. Rodriguez still taking so much damage and being controlled. It must be so frustrating after the first 2 games where he had free reign, now Pooks is shutting him down.
Yep, and Drudenhouse keeping that water shield up, obviously trying to get some mana back sub 10k. Toes just now tipping below 10k mana, water shield up himself. So excellent pressure by Skill Cap. Probably the wise move to hang back for a second and recoup, because pushing into an MLS is pretty much the easiest way to get killed by them.
All right, Rodriguez again trying to stay alive. Great use of LOS right there, hugging the edge of the ramp. Of course, a deep freeze onto Drudenhouse right there. Pooks taking a lot of damage in that impact stun, having to block. That was a smart move. Toes is almost out of mana, and you compare Drudenhouse's mana, who got that tied off earlier behind the pillar,
and Toes. Drink off too.
All right, oh, look at this, but there's lots of damage coming out yet again. Rodriguez having to block because he's standing in the middle of the bottom. Look at that follow-up ring right there. They know that he's going to be, is he trinkets? Wow, that was really risky, but it paid off for Rodriguez as he gets out of that ring and running as fast as he can. Oh, but he gets impact stun down bottom.
Perfect. Wow.
And we have the deep freeze after.
Spirit Link Totem barely in range of him. And there's the polymorph on Drudenhouse. He's got Trinket. There's the Trinket on Fear.
That was a little bit too early on the Fear because Drudenhouse was going to poly the Trinket and ended up hitting both the Fear also. As we see X onto Rodriguez. Great job of controlling him yet again by Skill Cap. It comes down to this. It's 2-2, late game. Healers aren't doing great on mana. The crowd control's everywhere. The water elemental pets are back up and they're not being killed, but Pooks taking a lot of damage. Counterspell onto Toes as Pooks has to evocate here. He knows that, wow, and the deep freeze right out of the evocate.
Yep, I mean, he just wants to shut down Rodriguez's damage right now. He's got him behind on cooldowns, and if they can just keep putting pressure on him, if Rodriguez stays in line of sight, he is a great target for all of these guys. Bro, right about at the 9-minute mark here, VHL. An intense match could still go either way here. It is match point here, map 5 on Blade's Edge.
That ring was so intelligent that Rodriguez just dropped. It means they couldn't get on the edge of the bridge to get any line of sight on him because he jumped down. And we have a spell lock. Rodriguez again taking a lot of damage. Do believe he has his second block up. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to block because we have a Hex onto Dakroth, and Dakroth isn't going to be able to control the team. Drudenhouse using Spirit Walker's Grace to be able to heal. However, look where he is, caught in that ring with no trinket up, followed by a coil, 2-second coil. As he's going half-life, it looks like they're going to be going on to Drudenhouse with that impact stun. He's in the center of that ring. Jumps the grounding, doing everything he can, but here comes the deep freeze onto him.
And the UA silence! Oh, down to 10k, spike back up to 20. A trinket by Pooks to get back into the fight. A COC hits all 3 members. That gives him a shatter opportunity on all 3, but he's forced to block defensively.
Wow, so much control onto Toes right now because Pooks is down to half. However, Drudenhouse low on mana, a death coil, and a deep freeze. Wow, they really don't want Toes to cast at all. Yeah. And followed by, wow, blanket, spell lock.
Yeah,
Pooks has hypothermia right now. Not going to be able to block currently as it's going to fall off very shortly. A Fear onto Dakroth. So much crowd control everywhere. Snut's able to finally get a full duration Demon Soul off and get all those dots up that he needs to. Pooks, though, feared away.
This match, numbers-wise, VHL, looking at some of these stats, could not be more even. The damage is almost completely even. The time CC'd, also almost completely even. The duration of the CC's so ridiculously close. Everything down to dispels, healing done, every single thing. These teams are so evenly matched. It's just going to come down to, who lands the bigger crit first, basically.
All right. Snut's down to half, as you can see him standing right there in the center of everything. Of course, Pooks trying to get the proper LOS off the bridge, realizing he's going to help his team, so he jumps down. Dakroth with Demon Soul back up. These dots are going to tick for a lot this time. Of course, Drudenhouse is deep frozen, followed by a Howl. Drops that Tremor, I do believe, to get out of that Howl. Yes, he did, which means he doesn't have much up at all.
His Spirit Link
but Spirit Link just came back up. This is a good thing for Game Sense right now because they're not going to be able to score a kill unless they can land a silence followed by a massive amount of damage.
Which is possible, but Pook's not really in a position to do that. Rodriguez has DRs. I don't think he can be control. Well, Pook's taking a ton of damage.
In the center.
Getting out. Snut's taking a lot of damage.
Oh, but they're going to switch it back up onto Snuts because he's such a good target, standing down in the center as we see, wow, a Soul Burn Hellstone to pick himself back up above half-life. And it seems like the momentum has switched in the opposite direction. Game Sense really showing that they can pull it through in the late game.
Oh yeah, we definitely saw that in some of their earlier matches here. And they've just been able to fight back. Drudenhouse with precious little mana, Toes nearly in comparison. And he's sitting up top on bridge. He's got tied up. He's about to get an opportunity to drink.
Oh, impact stun on top of a fear. Rodriguez at half life right now. Drudenhouse is counterspelled right now. That's why they forced a block out of Rodriguez. So it looks like Skill Capped coming back into the game right now.
This could not be a better position for Skill Capped based on how these matches have been going. Drudenhouse getting an opportunity to drink. If they can deny that, they deny
look at this. Deep Freeze by himself in the center. Lots of damage coming. However, Drudenhouse is playing an excellent game of line of sight with that bottom pillar, knowing that they're going to drop down, but that counter spell was landed at the exact right time. Any amount of crowd control after this, and look at that, Deep Freeze every time they go to line up for a kill.
Yep, Drudenhouse catches a Dispel UA Silence. It's going to put him back a little bit on health, and he's going to have to line of sight so he does not get fully dotted.
All right, so we just had a pet resummoned by Dakroth, who's taking a lot of damage. That is a full hex that gets dispelled off of Rodriguez. And Hoops is not finding his target whatsoever. There he goes. He's going to resummon his pet right now, tossing out, getting ready to toss out the freeze, of course, to get those fingers up as Hoops tries to get in range as he gets frozen and blinks away.
Oh, Drudenhouse caught into a coil, been kind of watching.
Oh, the entire team of Skill Capped is CC'd right now.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Drudenhouse pulled off of his drinking, though. You know, mana's going to become an issue here in the next 30 seconds, basically. Toes looking at about 50k mana, 50% of his overall pool.
Very low on mana right now.
And Drudenhouse, look at the dots spread out right now. Snuts knows that with Drudenhouse drinking, he just needs to spread damage out amongst Dakroth and Rodriguez. It's just not quite as effective as he wanted to be. We're passing the 13.5-minute mark.
All right, but look, Hoops is definitely having some problems with keeping his target in line of sight. Dakroth still seems to be the target that Skill Capped wants to go on.
Yeah, and I'd like to see a swap coming out of them. You know, they're sort of just doing the same thing over and over and hoping to just have different results, which is
okay, so what's going to happen now? As you guys can see right there, 13 minutes in with all that damage. If this hits 15 minutes, we're going to see a 25% healing debuff. Might not make it there. Drudenhouse in that deep freeze. Oh, barely lives through it. The Spirit Link comes down, but this is good. No trinket on Drudenhouse, but it looks like the team of GameSense wants to go on Snuts.
Rodriguez getting silenced. I'm expecting some damage coming on him. Everybody's a target.
Look at Skill Capped switch again and again and again.
That's exactly what they need to be doing here in the mirror. That's one of the most difficult things for Shaman to keep up with, is multi-target healing. His mastery is really great and all, but healing multiple targets very, very quickly is a bit of an issue when the other team has 3 interrupts.
All right, 14 minutes, 30 seconds in, 30 seconds till that first heal debuff kicks in. Rodriguez gets polyed, not able to help his teammate, Dakroth, who is standing right where he needs to be. Oh, a big counterspell onto Dakroth right there. Locked his Shadow Tree for a second.
Yep, Dakroth,
but it looks like they're going to go on both right now. A coil with a hex on to Rodriguez, who blocks that hex. Knows he has to help his team. Drops the ring down. Drudenhouse able to pick himself back up, but Dakroth down to 37,000 hit points, almost dying. We have a ring onto Snuts, who's not going to be able to get out of that. There he goes. Now the dots are going to tick and break him out of that. Rodriguez doesn't have a block right now, but Skill Capped still deciding that Dakroth is the target they need to go. Toes, though. There he goes. Gets that Nature Swiftness off. He's trying to get away. Look at how much damage. Oh, but Dakroth so low right now. We have a trinket onto Drudenhouse, but there's so much damage. They just need more crowd control onto Dakroth. There we go. Full hex coming out
onto Drudenhouse. That's a bit of an issue. Dakroth, he's got some health there, but he's taking a lot of damage. There's the fear out. Where's the poly? Where's the blanket silence that they need? And Dakroth so low, 2,006 health, and they do it!
Go down.
Snuts staying in the game. Wow. And North America will continue to play here at Blizzcon 2011.
Yeah, I hope these players know that it's not over yet. Drudenhouse by himself.
Drudenhouse solo.